Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today you guys are not going to believe who I have on the show today. His name is Jim Poole. You may not have heard of him yet, but he's very, very cool. I was referred to Jim by the one and only Mark Victor Hansen. So do me a favor, stop what you're doing, share this out. Let's get a lot of people on here. This guy is partnered with Tony Robbins, Jim Quick, some amazing, amazing freaking leaders in this world. So share this out with everybody you know, and we will be right back. Okay, we're back. Let me bring Jim on. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on Breakthrough Walls. I'm ready to bust them through, man. I'm ready. I am ready for you.
I am so excited to have you on here. I just recently met you. We talked on a phone call a couple weeks ago, I think, and I was in Scottsdale hanging out with Mark Victor Hansen and his wife, and we were at dinner, and Mark said, "You've got to check out this da 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 da," and I'm like, "Okay," and I'm not going to go into what it is yet. We don't want to do that yet, but I can honestly say I use your technology every day of my life, and thus far it's been absolutely unbelievable. It's been incredible. So, look, I started this about 6 years. It's almost exactly 6 years ago now that I started the show, and it was literally to have a breakthrough of my own and to help other people. So. Let's start with you telling everybody where it all began. Where were you born and raised, Jim?
I was born in Denville, New Jersey, and I lived there for about 4.5 minutes. I think if you have
I don't blame you.
Yeah, if you have your choice, you get out of Jersey quickly. But I shared a baby apartment with an identical twin brother, and I came out 4 minutes earlier. It's amazing how much maturity and intellect happens in those 4 minutes. So the 240 seconds that I've have maturity over my twin brother is demonstrative. You can tell a big difference. So that's kind of
Wow.
cool.
Wow.
Raised in Connecticut for the first 11 years, and then moved to New York, and then to Boston, and then
Wow. So you live in Boston?
I live in Tampa now. I was kind of an East Coast gypsy for 56 years, and then I moved to Tampa after our youngest of 3 daughters graduated high school, and we were gone.
Wow. So you stayed in Boston though for the most part?
I was in New York for 11 years. I
Oh,
was in New York for 8 years, Connecticut for 11, Boston for
wow.
19, and then Delaware, raising my girls for 22. Yeah.
Wow.
So gypsy, a true,
All up and down.
true New England gypsy until I moved to Delaware. And if you said, "Hey, what's your favorite place?" Probably Boston. I really love Boston, and I was in my late teens, 20s, and beginning my early 30s in Boston, and I love the intellectual horsepower. I love the energy. I love the architecture. The intellectual arrogance I can do without, but the food's gotten a lot better. I loved it. I love Boston.
So I'm trying to think if I don't know that I've ever been to Boston. I don't think I have, actually.
Have you been to London?
No.
Okay.
I hear the seafood is pretty amazing in Boston.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And lobsters are like the cockroaches of the sea. They They eat garbage on the bottom of the water. So the lobsters they pull out of the Boston Harbor are like 15, 20 pounds. I mean,
Oh my God.
lobster, clams, oysters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So when I started living in Boston 35 years ago or more, yeah, maybe 40. The food was great, but in the 90s and the 2000s, there was kind of a big evolution of just great dining in Boston. Of
Look
all,
what Tyler, this is my buddy Tyler. He said, minus the sports. Yeah.
this is true, and
Yeah.
I'm a Red Sox fan, and the pundits are saying that we're going to win the World Series this year, starting 1-3 to the Texas Rangers isn't hopefully a harbinger of things to come. I'm a Bruins fan, and they kind of hit their peak a couple years ago when they had the best regular season in history and went out in the first round. I'm a
Wow.
Celtics fan, and they are the best in the industry. But I'm a Cowboy fan, Ken.
I know. We talked
I
about
know.
that.
What the heck? Well, how the heck does someone who spent his formative years in Connecticut, New York, and Boston be a Cowboy fan? I'll tell you how. My grandfather was an All-American football player in Temple, Texas, and then to Simsbury, Connecticut. So I grew up in a house of just rabid fandom. And this was a great time because this was Cowboys versus the Steelers, and you know,
Yeah.
a lot of goodness and a lot of heartache. The Steelers, man, ugh.
I know. I'm
Thor,
still a
Fire,
Steelers fan.
Harris. Yeah, I mean, those were, I mean, before free agency, you could build an empire and keep an
Yep.
empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So where did you, so you went to, where'd you graduate high school? In Boston?
No, New York.
Of course.
See how the gypsy living goes? It's
I mean, it's like, wow. Did you go to college?
I did. I
Where'd
spent a
you
lot
go?
of time in universities. I went to Hartwick College in New York for a couple of years. Then I went to University of Massachusetts in Amherst, graduated from there with a BA in psychology. Then in Boston, I did a post-baccalaureate medical school sponsorship program at Harvard Medical School. And then I got into an MD, PhD neuropsychopathology program and began that and said, you know what, I'm not going to go to school for 8 more years. And I went to Babson and got my MBA in Wellesley. So I spent a lot of time in the Boston area in Massachusetts getting my higher education. I love school. In fact, if you said, hey, Jim, would you like to go to London School of Economics and get your PhD in economics? I'd be like, heck yeah, I do. But
Jim, I won't be asking you that question, so you're good. That is so funny. So how you have a PhD or an MD or both?
no, neither. I abandoned medicine. I went down the whole path. I did the MCAT. I did all the work I needed to
Oh
do.
my God.
I got accepted. And it wasn't that I grew tired of it. I was getting to a place where I couldn't see myself going to school for 8 years and trying to raise a family in Boston with my wife.
Yeah.
So I remember one night, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I got up to pee and I had one of those cathartic, my amygdala woke up and says, you don't want to do this. So I ended up going out to the living room, sleeping on the futon. And my wife came out in the morning. She says, what are you doing out here? I got up and said, I don't want to pursue an MD, PhD. And she said, what? You've worked so hard to do it. I said, I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but there must be something else I can do that's shorter. So I went to get my MBA.
Oh my God. So, okay, you got your MBA and what was the final MBA?
International Business and Marketing.
Okay. So where did things go from there for you then?
They went to an amazing place. Boston at the time, late 90s and 2000s, was just a vestibule for intellectual capital and venture capital. So I got involved in Wall Street mergers and acquisition behavior and activity, kind of operating the entire value chain from target acquisition, due diligence, investment thesis, presenting the investment thesis, doing the roadshow, securing the funds, and then running the company post-acquisition. So I spent more than a decade doing amazing work in various industries, from med tech to biotech, pharmaceutical to information tech financial services. Our firm, we had a firm called Focused Evolution. We executed the largest private equity acquisition in the history of the dental industry in 2007 and 8. And it was a multi-$100 million acquisition. And that was the last acquisition by Credit Suisse DLJ Merchant Banking. And M&A kind of went by the way of the dodo bird in 2009 for a while the economy was tanking.
Yeah.
At that same time, the neuroscientist who invented this technology contacted me out of the blue. And it was a left turn, but it really a circuitous route back to where I wanted to be, which is in science and brain science. So remember, I got into an MD, PhD neuropsychopathology program, which is studying the etiology of mental illness. Well,
hold it. What? Okay. I didn't go to Harvard. So what is etiology? You're using words I have to Google.
Awesome. Okay. I will get rid of the 3-syllable words. So etiology is, how did this come to be?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
okay.
How do you get mental illness? Where does it come from?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and Tyler, I hope he's still watching because this will help him. So I pick on Tyler. He's such a good dude. But so talk about, so the guy that invented this technology reached out to you, and you were living where at the time?
Delaware.
Okay.
So
I've definitely not been to Delaware.
In 2002, we gave birth to our first daughter, Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital. And I was working in Cambridge. My wife was working in downtown Boston. We lived in Newton. And I just was growing tired of my commute, which was about 9 miles, but it took 45 minutes. And I tell my wife it was 6 horns and 5 fingers every commute. And I was like, and I could identify where these happened, literally, with great predictability. Because, hey, I got a finger coming, this turn right here. My wife was like, this is unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
And the cost of living and just, probably just the pace. I wanted better for my daughter. I wanted a slower pace, and I wanted a different life than I was living at the time. So we kind of just opened up a map and said, wow, you know what's liberating, Ken? When you realize, wait a second, I'm not obligated in America. I can go anywhere. So we opened up a map and we looked around and we're like, okay, where do we want to go? We don't know. We're not anchored to anything. Our family was kind of in the New England area. And we settled on Delaware, of all places, only because my wife was in corporate banking and that was kind of the epicenter of banking. So we flew down to Delaware in July of 2023, and 3 weeks later we moved.
Wow.
I was playing in a rock band. The band was called Guitar Mageddon. We had 3 lead guitar players.
Hold it. You were playing in a rock band?
Yeah, I was playing in a rock band. And so I remember we called one last gig. We did the gig, and 2 days later, I moved.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So
do you play lead or rhythm?
Is there any point in playing rhythm? Of course I play
lead.
I
play rhythm. Stop. All right, so my guest has to go, unfortunately.
If you had your druthers, you'd play lead guitar, correct?
I started playing lead when I was very, very young, and I moved into rhythm, and I can play some lead, but not. Yeah, I wouldn't put it up against anybody.
My favorite guitar player is Stevie Ray Vaughan. The music we used to play was anything from AC/DC to Zeppelin to anything that involved good guitar solos. And I actually sang too. I sang just as a means to an end. Just get me to the lead. And Freebird was one of our favorite songs, because if you have 3 lead guitar players, guess what? You're ending each show with Freebird.
I can play Freebird. If you can't play Freebird, you're not really a guitarist. I'm sorry. But so you moved to Delaware, and that's where you were.
You're completely confused. I can see your brain trying to.
No. I'm not. I'm on track. I'm thinking about the comment about lead, though. I'm gonna have to go back to lead. So talk about. I'm kidding. So talk about when this guy and what was your job career at the time that I know you said it was around 08, 09 when the markets and everything were collapsing. What was you?
My job for a decade was running companies for a living.
Okay.
Distressed assets, mergers and acquisitions, private equity acquisitions, come in, operate the strategy, sell the company, and move on. So, and it was fun
Wow.
because, I have an intellectual curiosity, but I have an easy boredom factor. So you come in, you apply the strategy, you put the chess pieces on the board, and then you dress
Yep.
up the company and you sell it. So what the cool thing about it is you get to learn a lot of different industries. But as you probably know, because you're in business, the fundamentals of business are the same: competitive
Yep.
landscape, target market segmentation, price sensitivity. All of it's the same. It's just the variables are different per industry.
Yep.
So that's what kind of drove my ambition, drove my desire, drove. I really enjoyed that. But when I met Dr. Holloway, who called me in early June of 2009, upon reflection, 15 and a half years later, my life changed
Yeah.
almost immediately. And the universe works in really cool ways. And when we're present, we can see signs. We think they're coincidences. They're not. They're only coincidences because in the rearview mirror, you weren't seeing all the signs that were coming anyway because you were living
Right.
in a high stress, distracted brain state. But the way that life came to me and everything kind of conjoined in June of 2009 is such a blessing. And anyone on this call will know when you find your purpose, your life changes.
Yep.
Mission becomes your purpose becomes your mission, and there's a higher order and a higher level of responsibility. It's just the same thing to me as the unconditional love that I feel for my children. My
Yep.
wife and I have been together for 32 years, but there's still conditions. We're consenting adults. We made choices. But my children, it's unconditional love. And
Yeah.
so the same kind of parallel path when you find your purpose. So that's the gift that was given to me in 2009.
And so talk about how things kind of expanded. For those that can't tell, if I give you full screen again, you've got NuCalm everywhere. But that's not what I'm assuming that's
I
not
have
where
I
it
have baby
didn't.
pictures too. Check this out. This is cool. It's cool to be an identical twin.
Oh, wow.
Literally can half the time not even identify which one was me.
Wow.
Well, just to take it back track just for a second, I was raised by two psychotherapists.
Oh, wow.
They
Wow.
divorced when we were two, which just reinforces the fact that two psychotherapists can't cohabitate.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
I was raised by a very strong single mom, and
Wow.
I had an identical twin brother. So I have a built-in best friend for 56 years. There's a
Yeah.
lot of telepathic strength and communication. There's a lot of complementary, but the body structure is the same. So David and I grew up with just an inherent aggression. We loved to fight, so we played football. We played wrestling. We wrestled from 5 years old right through college. We did martial arts for 20 years. So
Yeah.
anything that we could do to beat the snot out of each other within some confines of law
Right.
and rules, we did. And today, at 56 years old, we've had the same teeth removed. We both have had 4 discs taken out of our spine. So our body is like, even if, his surgery was a year before mine or whatever. Um, so that's kind of cool. And the other cool piece, Ken, about having a best friend who's your identical twin brother is I answer to 2 names. I answer to Jim and David because no one can tell us apart, right?
Wow. Wow.
And then
That's pretty cool.
in 2009, in December, I called my brother up and said, "Hey, I have found something that I can't really figure out the magnitude of what this could be, but it's overwhelming the possibilities. Would you be interested in exploring this with me and maybe joining our team?" So we flew out to Arizona together. We did some medical stuff and surgery stuff. And at the end of that visit, he looked at me and says, "I don't know what we just did, and I don't really understand it, but I'm in. So he's been my consigliere for almost 16 years now.
Wow. That's incredible.
So when I said the world kind of has a circuitous path and there's a lot of things that seem like coincidence that they're not. So here I am raised by two psychotherapists. So my social conditioning, Ken, is to take care of disenfranchised people. I can't tell you
Yeah.
how many people came to live in our home when we were young who had nothing in the world.
Wow.
We were like a catchment, which almost seems dangerous today. No, we were never in danger, but the scope of humanity that we got to witness, the people that needed, unconditional love and support and had nothing. So I grew up with that mentality, and I pursued psychology. And I worked in the state mental health institutions of Massachusetts for 5 years, working with
Wow.
the most difficult profile and population. And at that point, Ken, Governor Weld was creating homelessness in Boston because he was closing down the mental hospitals without any place for these folks to go. That's when homelessness started in the Boston Common in the
Wow.
90s, because you closed Medfield State Hospital and you closed all these hospitals. So we were working with these folks and we were putting them into the community and trying to get them to assimilate into culture. And one thing I learned back then, when I was 19, 20, 21, I was like, wow, I'm going to change the world through psychology. And then I started working in these homes, and my shift was like 24 to 40 hours. And I'd go in as a lucid, normally functioning human, and I'd leave as a paranoid lunatic every shift, because I was like, wow. And then I realized, and this was very humbling for me, I realized, wow, I can't help any of these folks. I certainly
Wow.
can't impose my will and change them. I may be able to be a facilitator by giving them love and trust and guidance and listening, but I
Yeah.
can't change any of these people. They're changing me. I'm going crazy.
Right.
Oh, that experience, and it's shameful in America. If you choose to help people, you get paid nothing and you get abused. I was 22 years old and I was responsible for the lives of 14 people, and I was getting paid like $30,000. I mean, it's insane.
Wow.
That prompted me to go to Harvard Medical School to do the science I needed to get into the MD PhD program. I figured, you know what, I can't help them psychologically. When we get into conflict with other people, there's the truth has three sides, right? My side, your side, and the truth. And
Right.
so you just get lost in this. And people think that paranoid schizophrenia, the person's in a nonlinear thought pattern all the time. No, they're not. They're very bright and they're very lucid until they're not. So you can go
Right.
down the path of a normal conversation, and then all of a sudden you take a left turn, and you're like, wait a second, and it requires a lot of energy. So that was my path. And then I said, I'm not going to study the genesis or the etiology of mental illness because it's
Yeah.
too much school now, and I'm getting exhausted. And I went and got my MBA and got to do really cool things all over the world. And
Right.
then full circle comes 2009, a neuroscientist, a brain scientist, calls me up and says, I've invented, and here's what got my attention. I've invented a technology that quickly and safely and predictably relaxes the mind and body within minutes without side effects. I'd never heard that statement before.
Say that again. I invented a technology.
That quickly, predictably, and safely relaxes the mind and body without drugs and without
Yeah.
side effects. And
I
so
would say that's accurate.
yeah. And so that concept that gripped me. And then we began a 10-week kind of exploratory diligence phase where I needed to learn what this was. And at that point, this was all done over the phone. And Blake is from the hills of Texas in Kerrville outside of San Antonio. And, I wanted to help and I wanted to do something that was just be incredible for humanity. But I couldn't see the commercial angle. I couldn't figure it out. My head couldn't put the pieces together. And in my soul, I was beckoned to fly down to Texas and try it. Before I told this gentleman, no, I can't help you, I was compelled to go. And I did. I got on a plane and I flew down to Texas. And I got into a doctor's chair and I was exhausted. I'd just flown in from international travel. And I was in NuCalm in this technology for 30 minutes. I still remember vividly the first experience because I had an itch on my nose and I couldn't find the strength to itch it. And it just kept repeating that you have a really big itch on your nose. I'm like, oh, who cares? And my brain would wander. And then my itch would come back. I was like, this is bizarre. And I got up out of it.
It's bizarre.
I was like, I have no idea what you just did to me, but I feel amazing right now. I feel amazing. I just flew in from international travel. I'm trying to digest all this complex science you're throwing at me. My brain's a distracted porridge. And right now I feel amazing. So the next day, we sat in a boardroom and he whiteboarded the technology. And it followed a logic path. And that was really key for me. If it's too esoteric and it's too unbelievable, then not only can I not believe it, but how am I going to convince other people that it's possible?
Right.
The logic path made perfect sense. And that was the start. So on the personal side, when I first met Blake Holloway, he said, Jim, can I do a couple things to you? I said, sure. And he did some eye movement stuff and he did some tests on me. And he looked at me and says, you have TBI. And I looked at him and says, who the hell are you? And so he said, no, you've got traumatic brain injury. I said, well,
what?
I said, that makes sense. I mean, I had 14 hospitalized concussions. I've been knocked out probably 20 more times where I didn't go to the hospital, played football, wrestled, did all this stuff. I said, I can see where that could be the case. He said, no, you have no idea the negative consequence. And he said, by the time you turn 50, Jim, I don't think you'll be able to tie your shoes. Well, that obviously is humbling. So at the end of this conversation, and after the end of talking about bringing this technology to the world, he said, you know what? Let's make a gentleman's agreement. I'll keep you healthy if you make me wealthy. We shook hands. And a couple weeks later, I took over as chairman of the board, president and CEO of a neuroscience company in Texas that was founded by a brilliant genius amongst geniuses. This man's intellect surpassed anything I'd ever met, anybody I'd ever been with. And he had a clinical practice in Texas. And his specialty as a neuroscientist, quantum physicist, naturopath was solving complex trauma, and addiction, mostly from people coming out of the theater of war. And the genesis or why he did this, he began his research in 1990. And you say to him, how it took you 19 years to figure this out? He said, well, the brain's complex and it's kind of trial and error. And we're doing things that have never been done before. I said, okay, why? Why'd you do this? He said, Jim, this gives me goosebumps. When you sit across from somebody, you inherently care about them. They're vulnerable. They're sharing with you their problems. You know the physiology of their brain. You know the negative consequence of trauma. You know what's happening in their brain. Even if they don't know it, you know the physiology. And for me to do conventional therapy, which today warrants me giving you a narcotic-based pharmaceutical, okay, to dull your brain. That's the problem, okay?
There's not much in the world that pisses me off more than that, just for the record. But go ahead.
I'll speak to just how ridiculous it is in a second.
It's crazy.
Give them a narcotic-based pharmaceutical, then try to engage in cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, complex trauma and addiction have a physiological challenge in the brain where the amygdala is too active and the brain has lost faith and trust in you to protect you. The brain has lost faith and trust in the universe as a safe place. So how am I going to engage in cognitive behavioral therapy, which means create new cognitive pathways to a brain that says, I trust no one and I will listen to nothing? It makes no sense. The second thing that makes no sense, which is further going to elucidate an anger response with you. You ready? Narcotic-based pharmaceutical intervention makes no sense. Why? Fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry are an autonomic nervous system problem. Autonomic nervous system. Remember from 10th grade biology, autonomic nervous system. The stress response versus the rest response and the fight or flight response. That is where this resides. So why, applying logic, would giving me a narcotic-based pharmaceutical to suppress my central nervous system Help me. It doesn't. It just dulls your brain. So that was the
Wow.
start. In 1990, Dr. Holloway went on a quest to figure out, how can I help these people? Because if I don't, I am condemning them to a life of misery and eventual suicide. Not because they're cowards, they're not. They just get so tired of living in this brain that they don't understand, and they're tired of living in shame and confusion and constant state of agitation and paranoia, and they don't do it anymore. So that's where this all started. Okay?
Wow.
Fascinating. Immediately you're like, yes, please tell me more. I want to know more.
Yeah.
So this is going to blow your mind.
And this guy, I'm sorry, I forget his name that you were
Dr. Blake Holloway.
Dr. Blake Holloway, and you, with your background being raised by two psychotherapists and everything, like, you obviously you were on the same wavelength. No pun intended, but you were on the same, you understood each other and what he was talking about
Yeah.
when it came to all of this. It
I
was
was,
that, man, talk about divine guidance of sorts. That's pretty incredible.
it's amazing. And people who have heard the story are like, how did this happen? It's almost like an Indiana Jones archaeological dig. How does a
Yeah.
businessman from Wall Street find his way in the hills of Texas to find a neuroscientist, quantum physicist?
Right.
Seriously, it's like none of it makes sense. And that's why
No.
I said earlier, it all has come full circle to me. And
Wow.
in a random day in June of 2009, my life changed. And I wasn't even aware of it because I was a fast acting, foot on the throttle type of
Yeah.
human. So let me share with you something really, really cool, which still to this day blows my mind. And, you know, I was with Blake, and we were partners in helping humanity for 11 years before he passed. He passed of cancer on December 20th, 2020.
Wow.
Uh, but you're right. The beach had been softened for me and my intellectual curiosity, my background in neuroscience, to begin at least to have a decent understanding to start. And then I had the best trainer in the world. Blake taught me all the things that he knew because I'm the voice and the face of the company. So,
Right.
but I'm going to share with you something that still to this day blows my mind. And you want to think about how people solve problems. And you have the Einstein adage, you can't solve problems with the same, path that was created,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you got to do something different. Okay. Blake didn't say, hey, I'm going to give you a drug. Hey, I'm going to stimulate your brain. Blake said, the human brainwave operates in an operating system of a 41 hertz frequency range. Every brain's the same. We all play in the same range. There are 5 categories of brainwave frequency. Many of us have heard of delta, that's deepest sleep. Theta is the lucid dream state in the healing zone. And alpha is relaxation and beginning to sleep. So 3 of the 5 categories of your frequency, right, your path of your brainwave,
Yeah.
is in sleep. And then you have beta and you have gamma, which are faster frequencies. So
Right.
that's the playing field of the human brain. Now, theta is a certain frequency, 4 hertz to 7 hertz, and it lies just above deep sleep. Now, when I say deep sleep, I mean dreamless like deep sleep. So for any of you listening who have children, you'll know this story. Your children, maybe they're 7 years old and they fall asleep on the couch watching a movie. And they're asleep for about 20 minutes, and you go to pick them up to carry them to bed, and they weigh close to 1,000 pounds. You're like, how does my child weigh this much?
Right.
Dreamless like deep sleep of delta. Okay. Your body is being restored while your mind is kind of vacant. Well, that's delta, dreamless like deep sleep. Above that is a REM lucid dream state called theta. And theta's frequency is 4 hertz to 7 hertz. Now, this is really important. Theta is the healing zone for humans. It is the only time in our biorhythm, the only time in our life, where your cells do their cellular maintenance and clean their toxins, and your mitochondria, which is the energy source of your cells and how we stay alive, is restored. Okay. So this is the restorative piece of sleep. This is why we need to sleep or we die. Theta brainwave is that place. So Blake, in his wisdom, says, if I can find a way to regulate your brainwave to theta and hold you there, you win. And we win. That is how this started in 1990. So there are two ways, Ken, to trick or
Wow.
manage the human brainwave frequency. We today in 2025, we rely on external stimulation. We don't regulate our own brainwave function. Monks do, and some other types of amazing erudite folks may be able to. But for the rest of us, normal pedestrian humans, we rely on caffeine, accelerant drinks, alcohol, recreational drugs, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, sleeping pills, exercise, intimacy, conflict. All of these external stimuli change the frequency of your brain. That's
Okay.
how we feel.
Yep.
Well, there are two ways to regulate that frequency without any of that stuff. The first way is visual stimulation. This is called frequency following response. You are following a frequency to elicit a response. Great. About 35% of the human population can avoid this, predominantly because their amygdala and their fear center is too active. They're like, stop doing that. You're just agitating me. I'm not falling for this, okay?
Right.
The second way to do this is to use your ears as a carrier to present your brain with a signal. That's what Dr. Holloway did. He figured out using complex algorithms and physics and mathematics in a software to put music on top of it, use your ears to carry to the brain precise signals, and like a tuning fork, your brain synchronizes to that pattern and goes to the outcome.
Wow.
How and why and what? Who would even think to do this?
Right. Right. Why? Yeah. Why? Why would he?
So, why did it take him 19 years? If this guy is the brightest guy you've ever met, and we have 52 medical advisors on our advisory board, Ken, and I'm not talking about guys checking my blood pressure. I'm talking about the world's leading statistical biophysicists at Harvard Medical School, NASA mathematicians, medical oncologists, psychoneuroimmunologists. We have the best and the brightest in the world because we invented something that didn't exist prior. And we had to go through the FDA, and we had to go through Health Canada. We had to go through patents. We had to do all of this avant-garde research to something no one understood. And of our medical advisory board for 15 years, there's 52 of the best and brightest. They still don't know how Blake did this.
Wow.
The trick is this. We use something called binaural beat. We call it binaural signal processing. There's also a way called isochronic waveform. So there's two ways to present your brain with a signal. Now, most of us have heard of binaural beat because there's like a million binaural beat apps on the internet. Okay, well then, how would that binaural beat app at 99 cents be different from your product, which used to be a $6,000 FDA Class C medical device? Well, the first thing I say is let's apply logic. Do you think maybe there's a difference? Yeah. It's significant. Okay. Here's what I tell people. Binaural beat is a delivery mechanism. It's a way to deliver the signal to the brain. So if I were to order a pizza and the pizza delivery person shows up, I don't eat him. That's a delivery boy. I eat the pizza.
Right.
The
Right.
delivery boy or delivery girl is binaural beat. What are you presenting to me is what you need to eat. So Blake's time, years of studying this, there's an aspect of our brain called the reticular activating system. And this reticular activating system has a lot of amazement to it. It's an incredibly complex piece of our brain. But its two primary functions is pattern recognition and finding shortcuts. Okay?
Yeah.
This is why humans, there's no such thing as a second first impression. because your reticular activating system is so talented at pattern recognition and using all five senses in your intuition to identify every nanosecond of every new experience, that when you go for the second experience, your brain's already figured it all out. His work and the time spent was trying to figure out, how do I trick the reticular activating system? Because if I present using binaural beat, the same static beat, you'll get one listen, two listens, three listens, and then your brain's figured it out. So what he figured out was to use a nonlinear oscillating algorithm that's perpetually moving. Okay? So
Wow.
we have a product on the app called Rescue. Rescue is our key therapy. It's been around.
I use it every single day. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And this is, if you guys want an idea of how powerful physics can be, we started in medicine. We started in surgical procedures. And today we've done over 2,600,000 surgeries replacing general anesthesia, with people being operated on wearing headphones, an eye mask, and listening to Rescue. That's how we started.
Hold it, without anesthesia?
Without general anesthesia. You can still have local anesthesia. Wow. No general anesthesia. You are in a lucid dream state while you're being operated. This is crazy.
It is crazy.
I've witnessed about 500 surgeries. We've done thousands of before and after videos, and it's fascinating. Before the surgery, you look at the person, you're like, wow, they're a mess. Their neck is red. Their lips are dry. They're talking in gibberish. Their eyes are darting. You're like, this person's scared to death. After the surgery, they look completely relaxed, and they look in the camera and say, hey, I knew you were operating on me. I couldn't find a place to care. That's how we started.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, but see, that's the thing is, and I'll just share a little bit of and I told you this, like there's different settings, like you can do 20 minutes, you can do 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 70 minutes. And so I remember, I don't know, a week or so ago, I selected 40 minutes. I thought, I don't know, 40 minutes just sounds right. So I did 40 minutes, and about 20, I think it was 27 minutes and some change. I don't want to say woke up, because I don't feel like I was really sleeping. It's so weird. I felt like I was sleeping, but not. Like I was still kind of aware of it's the weirdest. It's so hard to explain. And at about 22 or 27, I don't remember what the exact number was now, but I like come out of it. I wake up, I come out of it, and I'm like, hey, I still got 20 minutes left. What's going on here? Why am I? And I'm like, okay, just go back into it, dude. Just go back in. And I'm like, all right. And I couldn't. And I was like, what the heck is going on? This is freaking crazy. So I take the headphones off, and I'm like, okay, let's get to work. And I had one of the most productive days I've had. I mean, I'm like, okay, this is placebo. My mind believes it, so it's just following the what it believed. And I told you all this on our phone call, and you had some great responses, but I'm like, what the hell's going on, man? I mean, I'm not kidding. I was so productive that day. I've never had a more productive day, I don't think. I just was like, no distractions, didn't happen. Still was able to go over and check on X but then I was boom right back to it. It was unbelievable. So tell everybody what you should
know, Ken. Number one, clearly you're well adjusted and you're taking care of your nervous system. Okay. Because most people early in their NuCalm journey will be in for 40 minutes, but your brain is smarter than our technology. Just like if you eat slowly, you identify when you're full, and your brain secretes ghrelin, a neurotransmitter says, hey, I'm full. Your brain says, hey, I've had enough. You can't go anymore. Your brain's too smart. It's like, so you had enough recovery at 21 minutes or 22 minutes, 23 minutes. When I say the healing zone, it's not just cleaning the toxins out of the cells. When you're in NuCalm Rescue and you're in theta, here's something cool that happens to your body, and you'll know this. You're lying in your bed, you have your eye mask on, your headphones, and your mind's kind of wandering. And then all of a sudden you start to feel yourself falling into your bed. That's gravity. You'll start to notice your respiration slow down. Well, in theta, around 4 hertz theta, your respiration cycles to 1 breath every 10 seconds, 6 breaths a minute. And in this oxygen pattern, it's the most volumetric oxygen that your body can absorb. So what we're doing in that state, NuCalm is not the miracle. Your body's the miracle. We're just liberating your stress response to allow your body to get into the natural state it covets, okay?
It's
In this
unbelievable.
state, at 4 hertz, at 1 breath every 10 seconds, we're oxygenating your forehead. Your prefrontal and frontal cortex is what separates us from primates. And in this area is our patience, our personality, our character, our executive functioning, our logic, our emotions, our decision making. The amygdala is in our midbrain. It's an almond-shaped piece. And so every day we're battling, and oxygen-rich red blood is the currency of the human brain. So the amygdala is a workaholic, and your forehead has a reticular activating system that identifies patterns. So your forehead is kind of a shortcut, lazy one, and the amygdala is a workaholic. Well, the amygdala is fear and stress and anxiety and worry. So the challenge we have in our brain, all of us physiologically, is the amygdala wants to work. And when it works, it takes the oxygen from our forehead. That is why when we're stressed, we don't think clearly. When we're stressed, we are not patient. We are not present. We're not responsive. We are reactive because the evolutionary reptile part of our brain is dominating.
Yeah.
So in rescue, we are leveling the playing field and we're putting the amygdala at the kids' table where it's always belonged. It doesn't belong at the adult table. So go sit in the corner and be quiet. That's what we're doing. It's absolutely amazing to me when we peel back all the manifestations and all the complexity of what Blake invented. Part of it, I think, was intentional. The other part, you're like, there's no way a human being could think through all of these iterations. So let me share with your audience, because I know we're going to run out of time, and I could talk ad nauseum about just amazing, cool stuff about the human brain.
And if we go over unless you got to go.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
Let me just share with your folks what we've done. We're an FDA Class 3 medical device, the highest regulated medical device in the world. Used
Wow.
to be a $6,000 device from 2009 to 2021. In that time period, we served the medical community through surgical procedures replacing general anesthesia. We also served stage 4 cancer. We also served the Department of Defense, Special Forces operators, Navy SEALs, Air Force Special Operations Command, Border Patrol, BORTAC, and BORSTAR, the DOJ with the FBI and the hostage rescue team, pilots, professional athletes, and celebrities. So we had a group of humans that we served, and we served well. And these are discerning audiences. You don't work with special forces operators since 2012 if your product doesn't work. You don't get through the FDA, Health Canada, military approval. You don't get awarded the only patents in the world with research done at Harvard and NASA if the product's placebo. So all of that's done. We're a hardcore neuroscience company. But it wasn't good enough for me. Having witnessed all these surgeries and seeing all the work we were doing with helping people stay alive from cancer, we weren't curing cancer. We were giving the body the restorative needs to cure yourself. If we can liberate you from stress and anxiety and worry, and we can give you restorative sleep, your body knows how to cure you of cancer. But you can't do it if you're in this constant state of stress and poor sleep. So we did all of this work. And in 2016, I challenged Dr. Holloway. I said, listen, this isn't good enough. This is amazing what we're doing. And don't get me wrong, but we can do better. We can help more people. We have to find a way to change the form factor and get away from the FDA. We have to get this affordable, accessible, and easy to use. It took us 5 years. But in November of 2021, we took all of our science, at that point, 30 plus years of patented, clinically proven neuroscience, and we put into a mobile app. We're now an app company. We deliver the world's only patented, clinically proven technology that solves your stress and improves your sleep without drugs. It's the only product in the world. We launched it 16 years ago, and today we're still the only patented, clinically proven product in the world. There's tons of gizmos and gadgets out there, and they're making claims that they can't support. I get it. That's fine. That's called marketing. But we're a science company that delivers a physiological outcome, okay? Then things got fun, Ken, because we had perfected theta brainwave function. We could take anyone's brain to the same place. Now, you mentioned the NuCalm book, which is an awesome book. This was written by the esteemed Dr. Michael Gallitzer and Larry Trivieri in 2015. And I'm friends with Tony Robbins, and actually Dr. Gallitzer is the one who introduced me to Tony. So I called Tony and said, hey, Tony, Michael's writing a book about NuCalm. I want you to write the foreword. He said, sure. And we were working with monks.
Now, wait. Was this before Tony got involved in it, or was he already involved?
So Tony was introduced to NuCalm on May 7th of 2015 by this doctor.
Wow.
And then in the fall of this same year, I called him up and said, hey, Michael, who introduced us,
got it,
wrote a book. I want you to write it forward. And in 2015, we started working with monks. So here I am. I didn't invent NuCalm, so I have an intellectual curiosity. And, there's an adage in Wall Street, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. So I'm a data junkie, okay? And so I can see the cancer stuff. I can see the medical stuff. I can see the pilot fatigue and restorative sleep. I can see the active military. In the military, it's called expedited recovery without drugs. How can these operators get 2 hours of restorative sleep in 20 minutes so that they can operate at a high level of efficiency and quantum decision-making in a very fast period under a lot of stress? So I called the yoga nun and monk, Brother Craig Marshall. This gentleman trained the Beatles on meditation and was with Steve Jobs and confidant at the end of his life, okay, and George Harrison. Wow. So he's a monk, 35-year practicing monk. So here's a book about neuroscience called The NuCalm, about NuCalm. The foreword's written by a nuclear reactor of energy, Tony Robbins, and the preface was written by a monk, both using the same product to derive benefit. That's fascinating to me.
That's unbelievable.
I knew what we could do, having witnessed, 11, 12 years of incredible science, taking everybody to theta.
Yeah.
Now, think about this. We perfected software that we put music over. And the software is like 1 gigabyte. A song is like 5 megabytes. We're delivering 300 to 600 times the size because your brain can't change its state through a song. It can change your emotion, but even then it kind of goes up or goes down and it gets bored quickly. This isn't about music. This is about delivering signals. Music's just for you, for your experience. You can't hear what we're doing. It's inaudible to the human ear. You can't hear the physics. So knowing this platform, Ken, I looked at Dr. Hollow. I said, Doc, if we can take everybody's brain to 4 hertz, can we take them to 0.5 hertz and put them into deep sleep? Yes. Can we take them to 7.83 hertz, the creative zone? Yes. Can we take them to 18.4 hertz, the focus zone? Yes. Can we take them all the way up to 41 hertz, high intensity, mistake-free gamma? Yes. You see, Blake was a gift to humanity. There's not a lot of people that would spend 19 years trying to figure something out to help all of us. He was the smartest human that I know, but he also had Asperger's. So one thing that anyone who knows somebody with Asperger's, one of the characteristics is typical of them is once they grab a hold of your pant leg, they never let go until they solve the problem. Therein lies the 19 years of invention.
Wow.
So with Blake and working with Blake, I never heard no, ever. But I never knew when, and I never knew how. Didn't I? I never knew when, I never knew how. I just knew.
It's kind of like asking Elon if we can live on Mars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
2018, we launched Power Nap. Same platform as Rescue. We're taking you to 4 hertz, that healing zone. We're holding you there.
Yeah.
2021 on a single day, November 15th. This is amazing to me. We launched 3 products on a single day. So here we are at this point. We're a 31-year practicing neuroscience company. Okay. We go from 2 products to 5 products in a single day. The products we launched was Focus, Ignite, and Deep Sleep.
Wow.
A year later, we launched our sixth and final product. So today, we have 6 products on one single mobile app that manage all 5 categories of your brain. So today, invariably, and in future generations to come, you could literally at your kitchen table do a little experiment, put your caffeine, put your Red Bull, put your Monster Energy, put your wine, put your beer, put your recreational drugs, put your anti-anxieties, your antidepressants, your sleeping pills, and put it on one side of the table, and then put NuCalm mobile app and a headphone. We don't need any of that stuff anymore because you can literally direct the outcome that you want by selecting the product you want. Focus takes you to 18.4 hertz. Rescue takes you to 4 hertz. Deep sleep takes you to 0.5 hertz. So this is how I've been living for many years.
Yeah.
It is fascinating. I'm 56 years old. I run a global neuroscience company. We serve the FBI. We serve pilots. We're in 100 countries. I've got a great team. I also have a family. Been together with my wife for 32 years. We have 3 daughters, 23, 20, and 18. I have a lot of reasons to be stressed. I have a lot of reasons to be distracted. You'll never see either of them.
Mm-mm.
I have not burnt a calorie on stress and fear and anticipatory anxiety and worry in more than a decade. I wouldn't even know what it feels like. I get to be present in the moment without judgment. I get to feel gratitude and joy. I get to have mental acuity that you noticed with rescue. Every day I operate like a cyborg. I don't get distracted. If I start to feel like, hey, I'm starting to think about what's for dinner and it's 1:26 in the afternoon, I'll put headphones on and put focus on. And within a couple minutes, and I'm 18.4 hertz and I'm in the zone. So high level of command and control of what I want to do, how I want to think. I don't get sabotaged. Sure, I get angry. Sure, there's lack of justice. Sure, I have to fight with people once in a while. And I don't get to the place where, back in the day before NuCalm, my fight instinct was to come to your house, throat punch you, and kill you. Right? That was my response. I will kill you. Well,
Oh my God.
I don't have that response anymore. Physical peace isn't top of the food chain anymore. I pay attention. I listen to the stress and I listen to the person and I stop. And the first thing I think about, Ken, is, okay, what is motivating them to come at me like this? Let me figure this out. So I get to think like a monk and act like a capitalist. That's my life.
Wow.
And I
It's
use this
amazing.
technology to deliver what I want. So we are in a current state of crisis, and there's the stress levels are the highest it's ever been, and our anxiety levels are the highest it's ever been, and our sense of isolation and confusion. We literally have a tool that says, no, I am going to be in control of what I want to think about today, and I'm going to command my emotional, physical, mental health.
My wife is on here, and she has a question.
Yes. I see the question.
Okay.
I may have missed this, but it is appropriate for children to use. So the first question you want to ask yourself, Jill, is, are children humans? And if the answer is yes, and I suspect it is, here's the beauty of NuCalm. We can do no harm. We've been doing NuCalm in utero. We've got some crazy people. We had one dude who said, listen, I think we're the first family in history where we conceived on NuCalm. Every day during pregnancy, my wife did NuCalm. During the birth, it was at home with a midwife, no drugs, on NuCalm, and I recorded the birth, and our children have used NuCalm every single day. So,
oh my God.
obviously for an infant and a toddler, getting a headphone on them is not going to work. However,
yeah, sorry, you said we conceived using NuCalm.
Yeah. And they said, do you want to see the video of the birth? I was like, no, some things are better left.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
So,
oh my God.
In the crib, the 2 things. One is your child eats, they're colicky, having trouble with digestion, whatever. Rescue with a speaker in the crib, you're going to see a baby go into a trance within seconds. It's insane.
Wow.
Done.
Wow.
At night, in bedroom, all the children on earth should have deep sleep playing with a speaker in your bedroom. All of our products demand a headphone because your brain doesn't want to be managed. And when you put a headphone on, there's no escape route. except for
Right.
deep sleep. It took us 9 years to invent the physics of deep sleep because we didn't want you to have to wear a headphone to bed. We see the
Right.
lack of compliance with CPAP. We're not interested. So we built it for a speaker, which is called an isochronic waveform. That's how we trick your brain. So with a speaker in your bedroom, you play deep sleep, and it doesn't matter. That's the cool thing about this. We're not seeking information from you. This isn't biofeedback.
So let me ask you a question because I never say I'm sorry for interrupting, by the way, because I intentionally did that shit. So I'm- I think that everything you're talking about it's life changing. But there's, and right now we have approximately 1,654 people watching us live right now. Um, I do a lot with veterans, and I know a lot of veterans. And in the US alone, we've all heard it. We have the 22 suicides per day, which is just heartbreaking. And I feel like it's not necessary. And Pam Aubrey, who's a really, really dear friend of mine, she does a lot of work with homeless people. And she said, I would love to know what would happen if a facility had guests using your technology every night. Do you feel like it could and it's almost a rhetorical question, because if you said no, it's not going to help, I'd probably end the interview right now. but but like if, I mean, what kind of an impact do you feel this could have on, number one, the veterans and the humongous suicide problem we have, and number two, with the homeless, helping them
So
change their lives?
I already know the outcome for veterans because for 14 years we've been serving the veteran community. And remember,
Wow.
this was invented to serve complex trauma comorbid with addiction. So the VA we work with every day, Mission 22, a nonprofit organization in Oregon, and obviously the 22 is derived from the number of suicides. It's increased significantly from there, Ken. That was a couple years dated number, but the military is not all that forthcoming of that data.
Yeah.
Operation Red Wings, the National Foundation of Integrative Medicine. We've done a lot of acute suicide intervention, and this is fascinating to me.
Mm.
How do we do that? A doctor will literally call me and say, hey, I've got a problem. I got someone who's on suicide watch. I need you to activate NuCalm for them. And we do. And we keep it really simple. Put this on tonight, do rescue right now, and do deep sleep tonight. By virtue of giving one person one good night's sleep, you stop all the chaos. You stop the buildup of getting to that place of that bleak outcome where you're so disgusted with yourself, your life, and everything, and you're just so fatigued and you're just so tired of living like this, you're ready to take your life. One good night's sleep changes that whole paradigm, and you begin the healing journey. So for the veteran community, it's been incredible. And it's not easy. And you're right. Kids who go into the military, they don't know what they're going to give up. They don't know that their life, their brain, their physiology, their emotions, their mental health, their physical health will be forever compromised unless we help them. And when they leave, our military does an exceptional job of taking care of active military to protect us. They don't do an exceptional job after they've served taking care of
Yeah.
them. We know this. And it's atrocious. So this technology, this is where it was born out of. We've donated millions of dollars. Even when we weren't a profitable enterprise, we donated millions of dollars to several different areas. And the veterans were first and foremost.
Wow.
We will always take care of the veteran community. We also have done this work with stage 4 cancer, millions of dollars. 5 universities in Kenya. We can't solve your
Wow.
hunger issues, but we can solve your stress issues. And then with the Ukraine war, we immediately went to work in Ukraine. So for the
Wow.
place and the traumas. In fact, I don't know if you're paid attention, but with the fires around January 8th, I called Tony and said, hey, Tony, I know you lost your home years ago, and it's breaking my heart because a lot of my friends are displaced and they're traumatized. Trauma
Yes.
works in insidious ways, and you know this, Ken. And they're in survival mode, and they're being displaced, and they're fearful for their home, and they're in this high cortisol active mode. But their brain physiology is changing every day, and they don't know it. but for years they're going to suffer the consequence. So Tony and I donated 500,000 annual licenses of NuCalm, which if it was fully active, would be a $300 million donation. We donated that. It's called LA Fire Relief and Tony Robbins. So the veteran community, here's how we help. We simply solve your stress. We put the brakes to your foot on the accelerator at all times. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. But over time, remember, oxygenating the prefrontal cortex, okay? The traumatized brain is stuck. The blood flow to the hippocampus has been diminished. The blood flow to the prefrontal cortex has been diminished. They are stuck in a memory pattern, and that memory elicits that same physiological fear response. So you can imagine living like that is awful, and sleeping like that, you don't get any respite either. NuCalm isn't a miracle. It doesn't say, hey, we're going to come solve your brain and we're going to do it right here. No, it's a successive use of rescue and deep sleep. The more you oxygenate here, the more you downregulate the fear response, the more you create new, what's called neuronal coherence, new pathways. And over time, Ken, we don't erase your memory. This isn't like Total Recall on Arnold Schwarzenegger. We separate the emotional component from the memory itself. I mean, are you kidding me? That's what this does by downregulating your stress response and allowing you the capability as a traumatized recipient of chaos in your brain with a physiological change to your brain and your brain chemistry. We simply say, we don't care. We're going to solve your stress in the midbrain. We're going to give you the opportunity to meditate like a monk. And every day you do this is a day you heal. So homelessness, same thing. A lot of homelessness is derived from fundamental illness or trauma. And at some point, they lose all their brakes and they lose their home and they lose their dignity and they lose a lot of things. So if we could give the gift of saying, hey, it's okay. Where you're at is okay. You're human. You're part of who we are. We're all a fabric of this one species. We're here to help you. And how would you like to simply pause the button on all the stress and chaos between your ears, even if it's for 30 minutes? Then at night, how would you like to sleep, where you wake up actually feeling rested and being able to take on your day and do things as opposed to be waking up and running to solve the problems from yesterday? So yes, it would be amazing for that.
I want to. I had a conversation. Patricia Gigich, who's right there, she's a very very famous artist. Her artwork has hung in the Vatican and the Louvre, and she's amazing.
Zowie von Zowie. That's incredible.
One of my dearest friends in the world. I told her about this the other night. She put it on her calendar that I was interviewing you, because she wanted to listen in, and look at what she wrote. She's all about it. And so, and I've got Sergeant Tom on here too. That's a veteran. I want to pop his comments as well. There are a couple of comments that I want to ask you about. First off, Tom, stick around, because there is a way for you to get this, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. And this is for anybody, by the way, watching. Jim has set up a special code for me and anybody following me that you can get a nice little discount on it. And it's not expensive anyway. It's not as expensive as living in fear and without sleep, I can tell you that. But my wife asked a question earlier that I want to ask you about. The doctor, was he able to affect his cancer with this, considering the possibility of manipulation of theta?
Awesome. That's an amazing question. Of course he was. So Blake self-regulated, self-medicated. Blake was filled with gizmos and gadgets. He had a $52,000 cold fusion laser developed for him in Germany, where he did auricular therapy, and I've got 4 discs taken out of my spine and all these problems. So he helped put me back together like the $6 million man without reconstructive surgery.
Wow.
Blake was poisoned. He was poisoned by chemotherapy. Okay.
Oh.
They gave him too much chemotherapy and poisoned his entire being. But yes, NuCalm kept him alive a lot longer through his cancer. He had colorectal cancer, which has an emotional component of someone trying to hold on too tight, someone trying to control things. And obviously with Asperger's, the necessity to be in some type of control is really important. So yeah, he probably lived 3 years longer than his expectancy would have been without being able to downregulate his stress with NuCalm. That brings up something really fascinating. I work
Can
with
we tell before you go there? Can we tell everybody how to get this? Because people are asking.
Yes,
it's simple.
It is simple.
It's complicated. Kidding? No, it's not. It's very simple.
It is. The complication of NuCalm is fascinating. You'll never get to the end. It's like so many layers of awesomeness.
Yeah.
Our path is no longer to share with you how smart we are. Our path is no longer to share with you how it works. You know why? Because you'll never figure it out. So why keep trying? Most people don't know how a microwave works. They just say, it conveniently heats up my food. You don't need to know how NuCalm works. It conveniently changes your state of mind and helps you feel better when you're stressed. So you go to NuCalm.com, NuCalm.com. When you go to this site, you'll see we offer a 7-day free trial. Okay. And on that free trial, you get access to all 6 products. Rescue, Power Nap, are theta and healing. Deep sleep, you can imagine, is for sleep. Flow state is 7.83 hertz and is for creativity and for you artists like Patricia. That would be an amazing product for you, authors, musicians, artists. It liberates your blocks, your negative obstacles, the negative patterning in our thinking. It's amazing. Focus is for focus, and Ignite is for high intensity peak performance. So there are 6 products in the free trial. You get to try them all. Then you can select monthly or annual subscriptions, 50 cents a day, $1 a day, $1.67 a day. Okay. Now think about 3.5 years ago, this was a $6,000 complicated 4-component regulated FDA medical device. And today, 50 cents a day through mobile app. So have we made it affordable? Yes. Have we made it easy? Yes. Do you have a mobile device? Yes. Can you press start? Yes. Do you have a headphone? Yes. Can you put the headphone over your ears? Yes. Do you have an eye mask? Yes. We're good to go. So go to NuCalm.com. When you check out, we built a code for Ken. The code is breakthrough.
It's that was pretty good drum roll, actually. Breakthrough is just put in the word. It's not case sensitive, so just put in breakthrough, and you get what's the discount?
A 15% discount, 15. Okay.
For how long though?
It gets better than that.
It's a limited time, right?
Yeah, your life expectancy. Okay. You put that code in, it tracks you for life. Every month, every year, it doesn't matter what subscription. We have a mastermind that's $3,500. Okay. Anything you do, it tracks it and you get a 15% discount every month or every year for the rest of your life. And we have thousands of people that have been with us for a decade. We know once you start living with stress in the rearview mirror, you don't really want to go back. Okay. So it's thanks to Ken, because he's the one who strong-armed me before this interview and said, hey.
I said, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a second. I'm not sure.
We got to give the listener something, dude.
Exactly. So there you go. So Breakthrough gets you 15% off any subscription for the rest of your life.
Yeah. This is just and you guys have already heard me, some of you, maybe not all, because we have 2,000 people watching now. I use this every single day of my life. My wife has it. She keeps saying she doesn't have the time to use it. I'm like, you need to use it. It'll give you more time. I'm telling you. And she's going to start today. Right, Jill? Say yes in the comments, Jill. Hold it. Said wow. I think there's a delay. I don't know if she means wow for me calling her out to the CEO or, but
I think it means wow. Look out when you come home.
Yeah, yeah. So now she'll be here at the office soon. But and Tom Ginn says thank you. I use this every single day of my life, and quite honestly, I look forward to using it. I look forward to. It's weird. It's like a Popeye's chicken sandwich or something. I don't know. I literally look forward to. You're like, how did you just compare us to Popeye's
No,
chicken
listen, if
sandwich?
it's the spicy chicken sandwich, I get it.
See, he knows.
So I just want to interject one more thing. Please give yourself 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay. Let's do the math. 30 minutes is 1/48th of one day. 20 minutes is 1/72nd of one day. There's something that I know that you know inherently, but you may not know, quantitatively. We're all going to die from stress. We are all going to die from stress, unless we're lucky enough to die in an accident. But the rest of us will die from stress. Now, it's not going to say on my death certificate, Jim died of stress. No. Jim died of cardiovascular disease or cancer or irritable bowel syndrome or ulcerative colitis caused by stress.
Yep.
Just because we can't see it and the brain is kind of challenged with intangibles. If we can't see it, touch it, feel it, smell it, taste it, is it real? Of course it's real. And it shows itself in your distracted thinking, your agitation, your impatience, and in your sleep. But if you give yourself 20 or 30 minutes every day to do rescue, which is immersive, you lay down, safe place, headphone, eye mask. You must have an eye mask. We can't take you to theta and heal you with your eyes open because we're too stimulated by light. And you press rescue, and the experience is brilliant. It's fascinating. Most of us fall in and out of sleep. We don't mean to, but we do. But when you get up, this is what's important. You don't feel lethargic. It's not like you took a nap on a Saturday and you wake up like Oscar the Grouch. It's not like that. You actually wake up feeling completely energized. Your mental acuity is just incredible. But furthermore, all the little things that were bothering you don't exist anymore. You literally had the gift in 20 or 30 minutes of resolving all your stress in your midbrain and coming back for your second day. There's a gentleman in India who says, Jim, NuCalm has doubled my life. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's impressive. What do you mean? He said, well, I go about my day. I'm the CEO of a company. And in the afternoon, I do rescue. And now I have a second day because I have the same energy I had as I started the day. And I'm getting 2 days in one. And I said, I love that. So don't be alarmed and don't think, oh, I got my to-do list is way too big and I can't do it, because you can. And furthermore, if you don't take care of yourself, there's one thing, it's an immutable law of being human. If you don't manage your stress is going to manage you. So take care of yourself.
So true.
Take care of yourselves.
Listen, you guys, this is not a sales pitch. It is the truth. And I use it every day. It's unbelievable. I've told my wife that. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, you've got to experience it. And once you do, like, really experience 20, 30 minutes. It's life-changing. It's life-changing.
And it's not just us using it. It's some of the most, stressful occupations in the world. I'll show you guys something you'll never see again. We built a track and a whole product expressly for the United States FBI hostage rescue team. You see that?
Oh my God.
56 operators have this on their phone. You'll never see it. Pretty cool, huh?
Wow.
So what happened? They called us up, said, hey, can you activate our gamma brainwave function so in a high intensity situation, we're on point, we don't make any mistakes. So we built all these files and built a separate product. It's all confidential. They have the secret access code. Of course, as a CEO, I have it too, but I don't listen to it because it's so intense. It makes me want to vomit. And I'm a pretty intense guy, but I'm like, I can't listen to this.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
If we're doing things like that, trust me, we can help all of us. Wow.
That's incredible. So finally learning that lesson at almost 50. Yeah, it's so incredible. Jim, you're an incredible human. I'm so grateful that Mark introduced us. Mark Victor Hansen, if you ever see this, thank you. And we'll both be talking to him. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody before we wrap this up?
Yes, I want to share Pamela's comment. Finally learning that lesson at almost 50. Well, we're happy you're learning it now instead of when you're almost 80. Okay. So now you've got 30 years of being patient, present in the moment without judgment. You'll have access to your kids and your family and the people in your life and in your world. Think back in our lives how many times we weren't present and we miss those opportunities. And it hurts our heart when we think about it. When you can relax that stress response and get good sleep, you're liberated to be the best you, and you deserve this. So take
Yeah.
care of yourselves. We worked hard to bring this to you, and we worked hard to make this easy. And on a mobile app with headphones, it can't get much easier.
I mean, when you and so when you and I first talked, I thought, why is Mark referring me to some little app company? Like, this is crazy. What is going on? And then you and I talked, and oh my gosh, this is a mega multi million dollar organization. You guys have it going on. And you said it. I don't know if anybody heard it, but I'll repeat it. It's the only patented technology in this space. You guys have the patent on this.
In the world, we have the only patent in the world for balancing the autonomic nervous system of a human being.
That's
It doesn't make any sense.
crazy.
And then the second patent is for a method used to elicit a state change in a human brain. We've done it. We're a science company delivering our science through a mobile app. We're not a mobile app company. This isn't a game. It's not a gimmick. It's not a gizmo. It's not a
That's right.
gadget. That's why we did the free trial, Ken, because I can tell you until I'm blue in the face the power of restorative healing and theta brainwave function. What does that mean? Just put it on your ears and try it. Then you'll know
Yeah.
what we mean.
It's amazing.
So take care of yourself.
Jim.
Be there for the ones who need you and love you the most, and they need you all the time. Don't forget that.
That's right. Thank you, Jim. And just for the record, I think Jim and I are going to be doing a lot more stuff. So I really hope so, because this I'm a customer. I believe in it. It's amazing. So
I'm a customer too, Ken. See how much we have in common?
I know. Pam says, even with all the self care I've tried to do, it never occurred to me how paramount it was until about the last year. Thank you again. And look, Patricia just put it out there. I love that. NuCalm is a verb. I love that. That's freaking awesome.
It is.
So,
yes.
All
Ken,
right. Well, listen.
For this opportunity. Thank you to everybody listening. It's a blessing, and it's an opportunity for us to share. The world's lacking too much good news and good things, and we're bringing it. And
Amen.
We're here to help, and we're here to serve.
Amen. 2,100 people are watching live right now, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. So, Jim, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and being such a great. You're so awesome, man. Your energy is amazing. So, thank you. Thank you to everyone, and we will see you later. Thanks so much. Stay with me, by the way, Jim. Don't hang up. We'll see you guys later.